Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing an updated eyebrow tutorial. Actually, the first video I ever did on YouTube was an eyebrow tutorial, but a couple things have changed. The products have not. I'm still using my Anastasia Dipbrow and my Anastasia Brow Wiz. Both are in medium brown. I like my brows to be a little dark. So yeah, I'm just going to be taking you through step by step of my brows and how I clean them up with concealer and how I get them prepped for the rest of my makeup. So if you want to see my updated brow routine and how I achieve this shape and look with my brows, then please continue watching. So I always do my brows first. I just really like to be able to put my hands all over my face without messing up my makeup. And I just like to get my brow in and carved out and really nice just before I do anything else, because to me, it's the most important part of my makeup. I'm all about the brows. So the only thing I do first is I prime my eyes because I like to prime from lid all the way to brow. And if my brows are already done and I get primer in it, I'm going to mess it up. So I always start off with my Brow Wiz, and I start with the spoolie side, and I just like to brush out my brows up and out just so they're all going in the same direction. So then once they are nice and brushed out, I start carving them out and outlining them. It's kind of like a coloring book. I'm creating my outline now, and then I'm going to fill that in with my dip brow. The first step is just to draw my bottom line in and really create a nice, more full brow. So I start with this eye with that line, and then I jump right over to that one just so I can make them even. I pretty much do this with every step. So with a nice bit of that Brow Wiz rolled up and exposed, I just go in and start right at the corner of where my brow hair starts right there. And this is kind of the base for the bottom of my eyebrow. Okay, so once I have that bottom part nice and carved out, now's where I begin to connect that front part of my eyebrow to my arch. So I'm feeling pretty good about that bottom line, so I'm going to go in and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now that that bottom line is pretty consistent between both of my eyebrows, I'm going to go in and carve out the top. So again, starting with my right eye. So right here where my brows start growing this way is where I go with my line. And my height of my brow is determined by the length of these brows that are growing up. So I like to keep it consistent. And now's where I start turning down to create the tail of my eyebrow. And I'm just tapering it in slowly to connect it with my real natural hairs, and I'm probably going to extend it just a little past that. Okay, so now that my right brow is fully carved out, I'm gonna go in and finish this brow. Okay, so now that both brows are carved out and outlined, it is time to fill them in. So here's when I use my Dipbrow, and I'm using this Lab 2 eyebrow and eyeliner angled brush that I got at the drugstore. I've been using this ever since I bought my Dipbrow, and I love it. The bristles are nice and firm, it's really affordable, and yeah, I like it. So I've had this Dipbrow for 6 months, and I'm a little over halfway done with it, so it'll last me almost a year. It's a really great value. I absolutely love this product. I just take a tiny, tiny bit on my brush, just a teeny tiny bit. I don't know if you can see that. And I kind of swipe it onto my hand to thin it out. So I'm gonna go back in and take a little bit on my brush. The first thing I normally do is kind of just go over my outline that I made with my Brow Wiz with my Dipbrow, just to further define and pigment that outer line, and then I fill in from there. So I start right about here and just go over that bottom line. And then I go over the top line with a little less product on the brush. And now that I've gone over those Brow Wiz lines, I'm going to just start to fill it in and feather it on. So kind of in like sweeping motions, I just begin to fill in my eyebrow where it's bare. So once like the main part of my brow is all filled in, now it's time for the front. I get a little of the product off of my brush. I don't want a ton because I want it to kind of transition from a lighter to a darker color, just so it's more natural appearing. So first I start with my brush turned horizontally and just begin to feather that product up. And then when I get about 3/4 of the way to the front of my eyebrow, I turn my brush so it's vertical. And then I start to feather in the product up in straight lines. And this really mimics the look of natural hair. And this is just the most natural way I've found to do the front of my brow. Okay, so now that that eyebrow is all filled in, I'm gonna go and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now that both brows are filled in, I'm gonna clean them up a little bit underneath and brighten them up a little bit using some concealer. This is just the Hard Candy Glamoflauge concealer from the drugstore. Any concealer will do really. So again, I just put a little bit on my hand and I'm just using this little e.l.f. concealer brush. So I just get a little product on the brush and then begin to place some under my arch first because that's where I want it the brightest. So that's where I pop the product first. Just gonna begin to really carve that out a little more. So now that I've gotten that line right under my eyebrow as sharp as I can, and I'm really happy with the shape, I'm just gonna start to blend in this patchy concealer. And now that that concealer is all nice and blended in, I'm gonna set it with a powder just so it doesn't move and it really stays there. And I'm gonna use the lightest color in my Kat Von D Shade and Light eye palette just for a nice highlight under the brow and just go across that in a sweeping motion and just set it all really well. Okay, so now that I've cleaned up both brows underneath and highlighted them a little with some concealer, the last thing I like to do is go around the top and inner parts of my brows with a darker shade of concealer, just because I do my eyebrows before my foundation. So that way when I go and blend in my foundation, I don't have to get as close to my eyebrow and risk messing it up. And because I'm using a darker color, I won't have like this weird like white line around my brows. So I'm just using a Maybelline Fit Me concealer in a darker color for this and the same e.l.f. concealer brush. And just starting on the top, I sweep a little like further away from my eyebrow just so I don't have a big chunk right next to it. And I just begin to really carve that out and follow my eyebrow. Okay, so now both of my brows are completely framed in concealer. I do not set the concealer on top because I want that to be nice and blendable with my foundation. So because I want you to see how my eyebrows actually look with all of my makeup on, because it looks a little unbalanced right now, I'm gonna go put my makeup on and I'll be back to say bye to you guys. All right, so with the rest of my makeup on, my eyebrows are definitely more balanced. So I just wanted you guys to see what they looked like with everything else on. So yeah, I definitely do my eyebrows a little larger and more dramatic than some people, so you do not have to overdraw them as much as I did, but I really hope that this little updated eyebrow tutorial helped you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.